This is my film intro pitch for The Ballad of the Sun and Moon, a tale of light and dark, a tale of redemption and regret. My film intro will be of the fantasy genre. This is Roland Flynn, the main character. Roland initially sets out on his journey to free his master after they were separated by the king and his forces. Thus, he comes into conflict with the king's forces quite often throughout the story. This is the wizard/mentor, Astarion Cinder. He loves to teach. All he wants to do is keep Roland safe, and is currently being hunted by the king for treason. This is the main antagonist, King Decarabian Rosula. Decarabian has been hunting Astarion for 17 years. He wishes to establish absolute control over the continent, and he was actually once known as a benevolent king of the land. In recent times, though, Decarabian has been known to be corrupt and greedy. In the beginning of the story, Astarion the wizard and Roland the main character are the central focus of the story. We see Astarion meet and train Roland as a young boy, and later they are separated to set Roland out on his journey. The middle of this story is where the tension begins to rise, as Roland makes his way to the capital city to rescue his master. Along the way, Roland meets an assortment of people who help him on his journey or join his party on his way to the capital. Along the way, Roland learns more information about the king and his history, which causing him to have an internal conflict over his goal and his mission. Finally, in the climax of this film, Roland and his companions confront the king and his forces at the castle. In the end, Roland and his companions confront the king to save Astarion. The king is eventually defeated, and the kingdom enters a new peace. And finally, Roland is reunited with Astarion. My film will contain classic medieval settings typically associated with high fantasy films. It will also contain natural areas such as forests and lakes to bring a natural and magical feel to the world. To create a clear contrast between the light and the dark of the story, the areas where the heroes will be covered in bright and lighter tones, while areas such as the final villain's castle will contain darker and more serious colors. This film is meant for people who enjoy classic fantasy stories filled with heroism, redemption, and good versus evil. My film intro will contain themes centered around classic good versus evil, as well as themes centered around the morality of whether bad actions can be justified by a good cause. Thematically, my film is similar to that of The Lord of the Rings, both tackling the idea of good versus evil. Additionally, they both appeal to the same audience of those who enjoy classic medieval fantasy. Both of these films also involve the idea of a young hero setting out on a journey to fight an insurmountable force of evil. These shared commonalities are some of the reasons why I think this film will be successful.